Not a bad showing from AEW Dynamite this week. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do get burned out with AEW. WWE just has that way of keeping that spark, that spectacle. And maybe AEW in its 5 years of age can struggle to keep that going. But honestly, that was not the case this week. This was a freaking awesome episode of AEW Dynamite. Really good pro wrestling. Yeah, let's get into it, guys. I did enjoy the heck out of this. We started with Will Ospreay, the AEW International Champion, as he came down to the ring to talk about MJF. For those who watched last week's episode, they would know that the show ended with MJF attacking Daniel Garcia very savagely and becoming a heel once again. I expressed my praise for this move with AEW. MJF was a good babyface and now he's a heel again. Thus, Will Ospreay comes out to call MJF out and talk his shit. This is ultimately setting up Will Ospreay versus MJF, but we don't have to wait until Wembley Stadium to get that match, guys. We have it confirmed for next week. You heard me right. To open up next week's AEW Dynamite, Will Ospreay will defend the AEW International Championship against MJF. Dang. I love it. I love it. I've said in the past that AEW is less story and more wrestling. Here they are crafting a bit of a story, a simple story, yet a good story. And we're getting right into the wrestling right away. I'm sure these guys will cross paths again sometime in the future. But to open up this week's version of AEW Dynamite, we've established that they will be fighting next week for that title. We also, and I'm kind of jumping ahead because this pertains to the opening segment, but we had, what was this thing called? The Global Glory four-way match. We had Tomohiro Ishii, Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Kyle Fletcher in a four-way match. And the winner was to get an international championship match, I believe, at Wembley Stadium. I should have double checked before I went live, before I pressed record, but I didn't. But I'm 90% sure that the winner of this Global Glory four-way match, which was Pac, will be facing either Will Ospreay or MJF at AEW All In Wembley Stadium next month. Solid. Pac as the inaugural champion. It wasn't called the International Championship when Pac won it. It was actually called the All Atlantic Championship, which I actually like that name. There's a nice ring to the All Atlantic Championship. I got to admit, they should have kept the All Atlantic Championship name. It just sounds way cooler. It may not really mean anything, right? Like, what does All Atlantic mean? And obviously, international champion has like purpose. Will Ospreay being an international star, Pac being an international star. AEW's roster is filled with international stars. But I will say, the All Atlantic Championship did indeed have a nice ring to it. So yeah, next week we get Will Ospreay versus MJF, and then at Wembley Stadium, Pac will be challenging for that international championship. As the international championship does become the most interesting mid card title that AEW has. They have three mid card titles, right? They have the TNT Championship, the Continental Championship, and those two titles are with the Elite. You know, it's kind of justified that they're not defended as often because Okada and Jack Perry are heels. So it really gives the opportunity for the AEW International Champion Will Ospreay to shine amongst a three mid card title system that AEW is weirdly pulling off. Cool, cool. Next, guys, we had Brian Danielson against Hangman Adam Page in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament final for the men. And honestly, if you watched my summary and analysis last week, you would know that I pretty much expected Hangman to win this. Don't get me wrong, I love Bryan Danielson as a wrestler a lot. But Swerve versus Hangman 3, Wembley Stadium, I was like, dude, it's written in the stars. Let's go. Swerve versus Hangman is arguably AEW's best feud, at least one of their best feuds. There's been a lot of solid feuds, so I'm not going to throw that out. I don't want the smoke. But that didn't happen, guys. Bryan Danielson defeated Hangman Adam Page in the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament Final. That is such a mouthful. Anyways, we now have Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland at All In Wembley Stadium next month. Woohoo! That is also really cool. And it's exciting when things like this happen. I'm not going to lie. I would have loved to see Hangman versus Swerve. I'm a huge Swerve fan. It would have worked for me. But to go in a different route and have Danielson versus Strickland is also unique in its own way. It's very AEW, right? AEW likes to make you question, really? Are they doing that match on this show? And then it always works out. It's how I kind of felt between Osprey and Strickland at the last pay-per-view. And I guess a tiny part of me feels like that now with Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. But no, I trust AEW. If this is the match they want to do, I know it's going to be freaking awesome. And I'm very interested to see if this is the first match of at least two or three between Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland, right? Because we have Wrestle Dream coming up in October. We have All In as our next pay-per-view, then All Out, then Wrestle Dream. The next three pay-per-views can be Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship, leading to Seattle, as Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson are both Seattle guys at Wrestle Dream in October. It makes sense to me, man. We can see Bryan Danielson hold that AEW World Championship. Maybe Swerve wins it back, and then Swerve finally retains as Danielson calls it a career after Wrestle Dream in October in Seattle. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, man. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do, but it would make sense to do so. It's all lined up. It's all there for us. So, nonetheless, man, we'll see where all of this goes. Bryan Danielson is the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament winner, and he will be facing Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship at All In Wembley Stadium. I love saying that. Swerve versus Danielson. Cook. Seattle wrestling goes international. Let's get it, man. We also, after this match, had Swerve Strickland come out to address the crowd and officially declare himself as a part of Team AEW for Blood and Guts in 2 weeks. Now, I already assumed he was a part of Team AEW, but nonetheless, here he is confirming it. Later in the show, we get a backstage segment with Hangman Adam Page pissed off after his loss, going to the Elite, having a bit of a stare down with Kazuchika Okada, which was interesting. And then going to the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and saying, I'll do it. What he means by that is he will join Team Elite for Blood and Guts in 2 weeks. So Team Elite is fully formed. We've got the Elite themselves, the 4 official members of the Elite, Kazuchika Okada, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, and Jack Perry. And then now confirmed, we have Hangman Adam Page on that team. I know a lot of us were already expecting that, but nonetheless, it's confirmed here on this episode. What was interesting was I thought the other members of Team AEW were confirmed as well. They're not. The only people confirmed are Swerve Strickland and Mark Briscoe. So the AEW World Champion and the Ring of Honor World Champion. The only 2 members of Team AEW that are confirmed for Blood and Guts. Now, we did get a hint with the return of Darby Allin, who seemed to be beating up Brandon Cutler backstage. So if I had to put my money on it, I bet Darby Allin will be in blood and guts. He'll be that third member. And we have room for two more people here. It's probably going to be the Acclaimed. But the only people we have confirmed for Team AEW are indeed the AEW World Champion and the Ring of Honor World Champion. Cool. I just wanted to fill you guys in there. That's all but confirmed essentially, but Blood and Guts should be freaking awesome in 2 weeks. They always deliver with Blood and Guts. Blood and, the cool thing is it's not on a pay-per-view. It like War Games is one of my most exciting times of the year. Every time Survivor Series rolls around in November, I get very excited for War Games. But the cool thing is, Blood and Guts around July always sneaks up on us. It delivers just as much as WWE, in my opinion. So yeah. Next, man, we have this Stampede Street fight between Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, and Samoa Joe. This may be a little bit embarrassing here, but I got to admit this was a lot of fun. I know it's fun and cool to hate on Chris Jericho right now, especially to hate on AEW right now. And yeah, before he was the Learning Tree, I couldn't stand Chris Jericho, to be honest with you. It just got really old. But now that he has this Learning Tree gimmick, I do find it to be pretty funny, and I do find it to work for me, brother. So I really did enjoy this Chris Jericho versus Samoa Joe Stampede Street fight. I thought it was good fun. It was, it was good fun. Chris Jericho ends up winning due to referee stoppage of sorts as he puts Samoa Joe on a pallet, picks the pallet up with a, what do you call that thing? This is embarrassing because I used to work in a warehouse. A forklift. I'm stupid. He let's start again for the clip. Let's not ruin our clip here. Chris Jericho picks up Samoa Joe on a pallet with a forklift and ultimately drives him through a wall, which leads to referee stoppage. Like I said, man, it's cool to hate on AEW right now. It's cool to hate on Chris Jericho right now. All the kids are doing it, but Uncle Matt is going to be honest with you guys. I thought this was good fun, and I actually have been enjoying what Chris Jericho's been doing. It's been working for me, brother. Okay, that's the clip. Let's move on. Next, man, we have the main event, which is Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. Very cool. Will they go 2-time with Willow Nightingale, or will Mariah May become the winner of the Owen in 2024? It was Mariah May, and they could have gone either way. And at first, I was a little surprised that this match was main eventing because I definitely thought Hangman versus Danielson would have been a solid main event. But I must admit, Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale in the Owen final was very entertaining. More entertaining than I thought it was going to be, dare I say. And yeah, we didn't waste any time after Mariah May won the Owen because she brutally attacked Timeless Tony Storm, who has been by her side for 9 months, it feels like at this point. We have had Mariah May and Timeless Tony Storm being best friends, sometimes being lovers in a weird, interesting way. And now we have a heel, a dastardly heel, Mariah May, just brutally attacking Timeless Tony Storm, who's been one of the best wrestlers on the planet, if not the best wrestler on the planet lately. And here you see Timeless Tony Storm take the blade job. She's got blood all over her face, right there, front and center on the camera, as Mariah May continues to dig into her skin with that high heel. Good work. Great work. Great work. AEW took their time building this feud, and now we have this match this white hot rivalry that just started tonight happening at All in Wembley Stadium for the AEW Women's World Championship. Yes, I thought this was fantastic. I absolutely thought this was fantastic. Mariah May is established as a dastardly heel seconds after winning the Owen, after months and months and months at the side of timeless Tony Storm. Very cool stuff, guys. Very cool stuff. Very interesting episode as well. Underrated episode of AEW. I feel like damn near every time I watch AEW, I am impressed and intrigued by what they do most of the time, unless I'm completely burnt out, and then it's just a lot to me. So I can understand why a lot of people don't like AEW like I do. Because when I'm burnt out of wrestling, when I've watched like multiple shows in a week and then turn AEW on, yeah, it could be a lot. It could be overwhelming, but that wasn't the case this week. And when it's not the case, I do sure enjoy some good old AEW. Hate me if you want, but that's the truth. This has been a summary and an out. Let me go ahead and botch the ending here. This has been a summary and analysis, and I hope you guys enjoyed. We will tune back in for SmackDown, maybe. All right, guys. Peace out.